It's time to get inside the Giants Huddle.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
On Giants.com.
I like it, I like it.
And the Giants mobile app.
Boom, give me some juice.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's roll.
Welcome to the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. My name is Madelyn, Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion Amani, Toomer, for a Week 9 rapid reaction. The Giants went out to Las Vegas, fell to the Raiders 30-6, Amani. Of course, the big storyline, Daniel Jones making his return after missing a few weeks with that neck injury. We saw a lot of returns. We saw Andrew Thomas, left tackle, coming back. We saw Evan Neal, right tackle, coming back. Neal, of course, would leave late in the game. Daniel Jones left late in the first quarter with an apparent knee injury. The team has still not been specific on what that injury is, but you hate to see an injury like that for the quarterback to him.
You definitely hate to see it because, you know that the offense runs better when he's in. You know that it just gives you he's like a big play guy waiting to happen. He can do it with his arm. He can do it with his legs. A very dynamic player. So whenever you're down, your starting quarterback, and then you're also down your backup quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, and you're in with Tommy DeVito, your opportunity to win goes down significantly. So it's been a frustrating season. This, to me, seems like one of the low points of the season because this is a game tailor-made for this Giants team to get back off the schneid and put together a good performance on the road, especially against a team that is in turmoil. They fire their offensive coordinator, they fire their head coach, they fire their starting quarterback, and they fire their general manager and come out and put 30 points on the Giants and hold the Giants to 6 points. It's very embarrassing. It reminds me of the game when we played the New Orleans Saints when Kerry Collins was injured back in the early 2000s when Joe Horn pulled out the cell phone. It was just an embarrassment. You wanted to get the stink off of the game as quickly as possible. But, man, it only gets worse if this Giants team doesn't make a decision to come out and perform and execute at a much higher level because the season doesn't get much easier. We still have yet to play the Eagles. We play the Cowboys next week. It could get ugly.
Yeah.
And performance like this is just not acceptable.
Well, and Amani, you mentioned the fact that this is a game that it could be tailor-made for a Giants win because of the fact that the Raiders did fire their head coach earlier this week. They did fire their general manager. They did fire their offensive coordinator. They did bench their starting quarterback. But all of those things, too, kind of lead to a bit of fear around a team like that, coming in with so many changes underway. Antonio Pierce is a guy that a lot of people around this organization know quite well and have said, I'd run through a wall for him. But also, when you've got that many changes around a team, that kind of makes everyone's spine straighten up a little bit. Bobby Okereke and Paris Campbell were talking about this last year when they were both with the Indianapolis Colts. Their head coach was fired. Jeff Saturday was installed. That first game, of course, Saturday, and the Colts get the win because that change, and nothing changes unless nothing changes. Mm-hmm. So when you're facing a team like that has that kind of straighten it up, and we just saw that nobody's job is safe and this and that, you kind of got to be on your A game, right?
You do have to be on your A game. I never liked playing against backup quarterbacks. I never liked playing against new coordinators because offense or defense, because you just don't know what their tendencies are.
You're ready for a change. Payday comes early with Citizens, so go to that retreat. New you moves to the country. Now you're raising goats and launching a lifestyle brand. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Offensive coordinators, defense coordinators, scouting departments, they spend so much time on working on tendencies to kind of shorten the playbook on what to expect in certain situations. And when you have a new coordinator, the whole playbook is open. You have no idea what they're going to do. And they came out with some wrinkles early on. The one reverse to Jacoby Myers, very creative play. Probably never seen it before. And that's what makes it harder because you can't cheat. You have to play straight up football, and it's a very hard thing to do. I'd much rather play one of these teams after 3-4 games when you have a book on the new quarterback, you have a book on the new coordinator, and you can understand what the concepts they're trying to get to at certain situations. So I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew that the unknowing and the uncertainty on what they're going to do in different particular packages and all that stuff, they could surprise the Giants. But I felt like the Giants were a much better team in terms of, the execution. I thought they would execute a lot better than they did today. I thought the Raiders would be down after losing on Monday night, the way in which they did. But man, that Raider team came back and they gave it to us. They gave it to the Giants today.
And they did so relying heavily on the run game as well. Josh Jacobs had 26 rushing attempts. He ended up with 98 yards. He was at 101, his first time over 100 yards. But of course, that last play of the game, he took a 3-yard loss. Ends up with 98 on the game for the day, and relying heavily on the run game against a Giants team that just traded away Leonard Williams, someone who was very pivotal in that run defense for the Giants as well. But Amani, you mentioned the execution, and one of the things that really stands out, and I want your insight on this as a receiver too. I mean, there was a lot of drop passes, and you look at Tommy DeVito, and even before that, Daniel Jones, trying to go deep a few times to get Jalen Hyatt down the field. They didn't quite have that timing right. You see Tommy DeVito trying to do, he had an interception when the ball bounces off Slayton's hands when he's running that curl route. You saw Isaiah Hodgins on 4th down in the 4th quarter. Ball comes right to him, and he just can't complete the pass. Yeah. What's going on with the receiver in that situation when it literally hits you in the hands?
Well, I think in certain situations, you got to be very aggressive to the football. You can't sit back and wait for the football to come and wait for the defender to knock it away. You got to change the launch point, the catch point, because sometimes the defender will, as they're running towards you, they're going to anticipate where you're going to put the ball away. But if you are coming towards the ball, you can shield the ball. You can do a whole bunch of things to not let the defender know where to punch at, to swipe at, and some of those deep routes to Hyatt early on, show some poor technique as well. When you are a receiver, you never want to get within 5 yards of the outside of the sideline, because you want to give the quarterback an opportunity to throw over your outside shoulder. And when a couple of those plays, Hyatt was close to the out of bounds, and the ball ended up taking him out of bounds because he got too close to the sidelines. You got to stay 5 yards from the sideline, give the quarterback extra yards on the outside to make those long throws easier. And then if you jump up and you're 3 yards, 4 yards inside the numbers to catch a ball, you land where you're not even close to becoming out of bounds. So those are the little things that could have changed this game. Those little technique things that you have to be a master of moving forward. And hopefully he'll learn from these types of things so that he'll become the receiver that we all think he can be.
You love turf. You're good at it. So you start a turf biz. Business grows, your savings grow. Become the most celebrated name in turf. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Absolutely. And, you see a lot of young guys getting some looks, especially due to the injuries that we saw the Giants have today. You don't love to see the injuries. Tommy DeVito, of course, gets his first career touchdown, throwing it to Wan'Dale Robinson in the back of the end zone. The Giants go for 2 on a little bit of a tricky play there. Did not get the 2-point conversion, so they ended up with 6 points, falling to the Raiders 30-6 in this one. But now they're looking ahead to next week. Week 10 at the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys just lost a barn burner against the Philadelphia Eagles today. When you're going against, this is a division game, and I don't care how banged up this team is. I don't care, how what this team is dealing with in terms of the adversity of this season, this 2-7 season. When you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, you're playing a division game. This is your best foot forward. And we all remember what happened week 1, 40-0. Cowboys came in on Sunday Night Football to open the season at MetLife Stadium. What does this Giants team need to do to get right to be able to play the Dallas Cowboys?
When is enough? They put up 40 on the Giants. You haven't scored on the Cowboys this season. You put up 6 points. You put up 16 points in the last 2 weeks. You are the last ranked team in the NFL, averaging 11 points before this game started. And I think it's less now because you have 6 points today under your average. So I'm telling you, this team has to understand the situation that they're in. There's going to be a lot of changes this offseason. there's going to be a lot of people that are getting an opportunity to play that may be on the blocks after this season. You got to be able to put forth some performances where people are going to want to say, "Oh, what about those? What about? I want somebody from that Giants team who is." They were successful. They're winners. They put up some numbers. That's not going to happen. People don't take stuff from losing teams, and so I feel like when you are losing like this, you're just that much closer to becoming out of the league. And so I think a lot of these players need to figure out, like, do you want to be in the league or not? Do you want to try and maximize your tenure in this league or not? Because they don't tend to tend to look for players and cherry pick players from winning teams. And as of right now, this is not a winning team.
Right. And this is a team that, like Saquon Barkley said, too, until you're mathematically eliminated, until they tell you the season is absolutely over, you need to get out there and put your best foot forward, put your best stuff on the field. This is a National Football League, and win, lose, or draw, I mean, this is a dream that most of these guys had from a very young age. And so whether you're winning or losing, you're still playing in the National Football League. And that kind of a pride is going to be carrying this team through these next few weeks. But, of course, it's going to be a tough one at Dallas in Week 10. Coming off this 30-6 loss in Las Vegas. It's going to be a long flight home for this Giants team. Of course, wishing a very speedy recovery to all the players banged up, including Daniel Jones. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest with his injury as we find out throughout the week. And that's a wrap for our Rapid Reaction. Just a reminder, the Giants Huddle is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. From game day to every day, Citizens is made ready for Giants fans with insights, guidance, and solutions. Learn more at citizensbank.com.